Is this thing on? It is. All right, I'm DaRock, and welcome back to another college basketball predictions video here on the channel. This week, we got a lot of good games, conference play rolling here once again. So I'm going to go through my top games from each of the major conferences, as well as some mid-major games to look for this week. So if you enjoy these kind of videos, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment your picks and what games you will be watching down below. And I got to do a couple shout outs like I said I would. Got to shout out A10 Superfan on Twitter for correctly picking St. John's over Villanova, and Schlock Rowell for correctly picking Virginia over SMU on TikTok. So while you're down there, make sure, and commenting your picks, make sure to follow me on all those platforms, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, so I can give you guys a shout out for getting picks correct, and let's get into it. So we start here in the ACC on Tuesday with NC State 12-6 on the year heading to Clemson, who is ranked 18th, 16-3 on the year. This one's at 7 Eastern time on the ACC network. So Clemson, 4 straight wins you can see here, 9-1 in their last 10, playing some really good ball right now. Kind of I feel like a little bit underrated here in the ACC, starting to get some national attention up to 18th in the country. So playing a good brand of basketball. They're led by Godfrey scoring 12 points per game, as well as Welling with 10. Davidson and Hunter both with 9 and 8 respectively. Porter with 11. So a lot of different guys that can kind of get it done for this Clemson team. On the NC State side, 7-3 in their last 10, but losing to Georgia Tech in that last game. Not a great result there, especially with it being at home. They're led by Darion Williams, averaging 14 points per game. As well as then Van Allen Lubin, their leading rebounder with 6.7 points per game to go with his 12.7 points. And then Quadir Copeland's their leading assist man with 6 assists per game with 13.7 points. So both these teams shoot the ball pretty similar clip. NC State a little bit better field goal percentage, but Clemson 17th ranked opponent's field goal percentage here. So very good defensive team are the Tigers. NC State shoots the ball a little bit better from 3, or not a little bit, like they're one of the better three-point shooting teams here in the country at 11th, 39.8% on the year. So this is a game I think it should be a good one. Like I said, Clemson kind of underrated, not maybe talked about a bunch here in the ACC, but now, like I said, now they're up to 18th, playing an NC State team. This game is kind of a rivalry that maybe it's kind of under the radar. You got Duke UNC here in the ACC, but this is a good one too. Just the thing in this one, I do just think Clemson's a better defensive team. They're projected here to get a 5-point win, so close game. And I don't know, like they fared well, like you see there. They beat SMU. They've looked pretty good in their tough games they played this year, especially with then this one being at Little John Coliseum. I like the Tigers to take this one. Then moving on to the Big East, the 14-4 Seton Hall Pirates head to the 13-5 St. John's Red Storm. This one's at 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1 here on Tuesday. I have these teams' results messed up here wrong on the graphic. St. John's is coming off a 7-point win at Villanova, really impressive win there. Seton Hall, they were ranked last week, but then drop out of the rankings after suffering 2 losses. A close one at home against UConn. They were down big, came back, made it a close game, but just couldn't pull it out. And then losing at home to Butler during the week. Just not a great game there. So on the St. John's side, Zuby Ejiofor, their leader, with 16 points and 7 rebounds, as well as Osiah Sellers averaging 11 points per game, Bryce Hopkins averaging 13, and Ian Jackson with 11. On the Seton Hall side, Stanton McRae, their go-to guy, 11.9 points per game, as well as Simpkins averaging 10. Assist guy, Clark, their leading assist man with 4.7, and then Payne, the leading rebounder, with 7.2 rebounds per game. So looking at these two teams, St. John's a lot higher in the efficiency ranking, ranked 3rd to Seton Hall's 125th. And then St. John's also the 14th ranked most efficient defense, granted St. John's 17th. So two pretty defensive teams here. Field goal percentage wise, St. John's shooting the ball at 47% to Seton Hall's 43%. So better shooting team, better 3-point shooting team. Just better shooting in every aspect here, mid-range, in the paint. Even, They score more, in transition. So St. John's is offensively better team, even though pretty similar defenses here. So we'll see kind of how that pans out. St. John's, they're a team that, like I said, kind of was disappointed on, but they've been playing better as of late. You've seen their 4 straight wins. Like I said, these graphics on the wrong side should be St. John's having 4 straight wins, whereas Seton Hall's lost 2 straight. And now, they're coming home. This is kind of a rivalry game a little bit, so I think it should be a pretty high-intensity game. St. John's projected to win this one by 12. I don't know if it'll be that big of a game, but I do like St. John's to get the W in this one. Moving on to the Big 12, we got the 12th ranked Texas Tech Red Raiders, 14-4 on the year, heading to the 11-6 Baylor Bears. This one's at 9 Eastern time on Peacock on Tuesday. So Texas Tech coming off a big win at home against BYU. They get the sweep here against the Utah Schools. Have won 3 straight after that close loss to Houston a couple weeks ago on the road. They're led by Christian Anderson, JT Toppin. JT Toppin scoring 21 points per game to Christian Anderson's 19. Both those guys had really big games in that win over BYU. Lawan Watt with 13.4 points, and Atwell also with 11 points per game in double digits. JT Toppin also averaging a double-double with 11 rebounds to go with those 21 points, and then Christian Anderson averaging 7.3 assists. So those two just really one of the most dominant, guard big man duos in the Big 12, but just in the country. On the Baylor side, they're led by Cameron Carr, averaging 20 points per game, and Yesufu, averaging 18. Their leading rebounders, also Yesufu, with 6 rebounds per game. Radaj is right behind him with 6 rebounds to go with his nearly 10 points per game. Skilling's also in double digits scoring-wise for the Bears. So Baylor, not playing great ball as of late, got beat pretty handily there by Kansas, but did have a win this week against Oklahoma State. But then, as you can see there, against teams like Iowa State and Houston, so it's been a pretty tough stretch here, suffering big losses. So they now once again take on a pretty tough team, but this one here at home. The metrics have this actually projected to be a 3-point game. Have Baylor play Texas Tech kind of close, but in all honesty, I just really don't see that happening. Like I mentioned, Toppin and Anderson are just so good. I don't see anyone on this Baylor side that can stop them. They've got Texas Tech's the 20th ranked efficiency here in the country on Haslam metrics. They're shooting 48% from the field, which is the 30th best in the country. 40% from beyond the arc, which is 5th best. 47% in the mid-range, which is 9th best. So, one of just the top scoring teams at pretty much every level here. And like I said, I just think those two guys, Anderson and Toppin, plus then you throw in these other guys, there's just too much firepower on this Texas Tech team for Baylor to be able to really hang with them. So give me the Red Raiders to get a win here on the road, and I think by more than this 3-point projection we're seeing here. Then moving on to the SEC, the 16-2 Vanderbilt Commodores ranked 15th in the country, ahead of the 20th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks, who are 13-5. This one's at 9 Eastern time on ESPN on Tuesday. So Vanderbilt suffers 2 losses this week. They're undefeated heading into last week, but getting upset at Texas, and then falling in a close one at home to Florida. Tyler Tanner and Duke Miles are go-to guys, both averaging over 17 points per game still, with Tanner being the leading assist man with 5 assists per game. McLaughlin is their leading rebounder with 7 rebounds to go with his 10 points per game. Plus, then you also got Nickel averaging 14 points per game. So a lot of different guys here on the Vanderbilt side. For Arkansas, they lose to Georgia, as you see here, kind of like an inconsistent stretch here. They are 7-3 in their last 10, but in these conference games, win against Ole Miss and loss at Auburn, win against South Carolina, loss at Georgia. This one, they are at home, their one home game in that stretch there, they got the win, but granted, Vanderbilt, a lot tougher team here than South Carolina is. So Darius Acuff, the leader for the Razorbacks, averaging nearly 20 points per game, plus he's paired with Malik Thomas averaging 15 and Trayvon Brazile averaging 13, plus DJ Wagner, Carter Knox also, and Billy Richmond also kind of go-to guys here for the Razorbacks. Efficiency-wise, Vanderbilt's 7th best efficiency on KenPom to Arkansas's 5th. So both just very efficient teams here. Vanderbilt, the slightly better defensive efficiency. Shooting-wise, both these teams shooting over 15% from the field, 14th and 15th in the country respectively. Both teams also shooting the 3-point percentage at a pretty high clip. Arkansas with shooting 40% from 3 to Vanderbilt's 37. So both these teams really can score. As you see, their projection has 86-85 Arkansas. I do think this is going to be a really high scoring game. Should be a close one. But just kind of given how things are going here for Vanderbilt, like I said, 2 straight losses. I don't really think this is like a right the ship game. And just I kind of like Arkansas's bigs more than Vanderbilt's bigs. You kind of saw that was the difference in the Florida game, is that Florida just had the better big men. So I'm going to go with the Razorbacks to get a win here on their home floor. Staying in the SEC on Tuesday, this one's at 9 Eastern as well on SEC Network. 21st ranked Georgia Bulldogs, 15-3 on the year, head to the 13-5 Missouri Tigers. So Georgia, like I just mentioned, getting a nice win at Arkansas after losing it on a buzzer beater at home to Ole Miss early in the week. And then Mizzou, after, stacking up a nice upset win against Florida and at Kentucky last week, they then followed up after they're also losing to Ole Miss with a nice win against Auburn last week at home, but then lose over the weekend at LSU. So on the Georgia side, they're led by Wilkinson going for 17 points per game, and then Blue Kane with 14. Their leading rebounder here is Creel with 6 rebounds per game and nearly 10 points. Catching is also a double-digit score here for the Bulldogs. On the Missouri side, they're led by Mark Mitchell going for 17 points per game and 5.3 rebounds. Plus, then you have Robinson and Stone also in double digits, as well as Pierce and Cruz. So a lot of different scorers. Definitely Mark Mitchell, the go-to guy here for the Tigers, but a lot of different guys who can score for this Missouri team. Efficiency-wise, Georgia is the 36th ranked offensive efficiency here in the country, and then 31st ranked on defense, according to Haslametrics. Field goal percentage, Mizzou does shoot the ball at a better clip, though, 50% from the field, which is 11th best in the country, as well as on 36% from 3 to Georgia's 31%. Georgia the better mid-range team, though, with 43% to Missouri's 38%, and then in the paint, 63%. However, Missouri better in the paint, 68%, fourth best in the country. So it's really just Mark Mitchell, as I mentioned here in this one, is kind of the go-to guy for Mizzou. I don't really know if Georgia has a big that can kind of hang with him. I think he could have a really dominant game in this one. Plus, with this one being in Columbia, like I said, you've already seen him win against Auburn and Florida at home here in SEC play. I do like the Tigers to defend home court and get the win in this game. Then final game we're going to feature here on Tuesday, the 4th-ranked Purdue Boilermakers, 17-1 on the year, head to the 12-6 UCLA Bruins. This one's at 10 Eastern time on Peacock. So Purdue, this is another one I messed up which side was which with the results. Purdue already out in LA, got a nice win over USC over the weekend. It was a close one. 2 close games for Purdue last week, as they eked out a close one against Iowa as well. Kind of came from behind a little bit in that one. Boilermakers still undefeated here in the Big Ten. Braden Smith, their leader, with 14 points per game and 9 assists. He's playing really well for them. Fletcher Lawyer averaging 13 points. And Trey Kaufman with 12 and 9 rebounds. And I want to shout out Oscar Clough. He's been scoring 12 points per game for the Boilermakers with 8 rebounds. He's been playing really well for them. On the UCLA side, it's Tyler Bilodeau, their leader, with 18.5 points per game and 5 rebounds. And then Donovan Dent, the go-to guard, with 12 points. Efficiency-wise, Purdue number 1 efficiency rating here on KenPom. As well as then they're shooting 51% from the field, which is 3rd best in the country, 39.97% from 3, which is 9th best, and then 71% in the paint, so that's the best in the country. So just really dominant here from Purdue. This is, one of those games where the East Coast team going west, and like I said, they already did kind of struggle with USC this week, so I think it will be interesting to see how now the second game of that West Coast trip goes. Being out here a couple days, now having to take on UCLA. UCLA traveling from their loss at Ohio State. Did get a win at Penn State, so we'll go one-on-one in their East Coast swing there. But now they come back home, so it's actually a rare one here where Purdue has the travel advantage despite playing on the West Coast. And I just think the Boilermakers are that good. You see here, they're projected to win by 8 points. I think they win by 8, maybe even double digits. Give me Purdue to go into UCLA, get the win. Moving to Wednesday, back to the SEC. First, we start with the 11-7 Texas Longhorns to head to the 12-6 Kentucky Wildcats. This one's at 7 Eastern time on the SEC Network. So Kentucky finally starting to turn things around here. Now 3 straight wins after went on a buzzer beater at LSU during the week. And then I said Tennessee was going to win. I was wrong. They come from behind. Kentucky trail by, I want to say it was like 18 again in the Tennessee game. Come from behind, get the win. Texas, after pulling 2 straight upset wins against Alabama and Vanderbilt last weekend and last week, they then suffer a loss on Saturday to their rival Texas A&M. So on the Kentucky side, they're led by Otega Owe, averaging 15 points per game, and Denzel Averdeen with 12. Malachi Moreno averaging 9 points per game, hit that buzzer beater in the LSU game, and Colin Chandler with 8 points per game. He's been playing really well as of late, and then Diabate's near double digits as well. On the Texas side, Dalen Swain's their leading scorer with 15 points per game, as well as Pope and Mark going for 13 respectively, and then Matas Volkiaitis with 15 and 6 rebounds. He's the kind of dominant big here for Texas. Looking at the efficiency, Texas actually the more efficient offense, 122nd in the country to Kentucky's 45th. But Kentucky, the better defense, 23rd ranked defensive efficiency. Looking at the field goal percentage here, Kentucky shooting 49% from the field. That's 25th best in the country. They're the slightly better three-point shooting team as well. Granted, not at like a great clip by any means there. And then 32nd in the country in points in the paint shooting percentage with 64%. So Kentucky, you're just kind of seeing the better splits here. I'm liking what I'm seeing from these metrics. Plus, they're really, like I said, just rounding into form here. Texas had pulled off 2 straight upsets coming into this one, but then, kind of coming back down to earth with a loss at home to Texas A&M. Coming off a loss to your rival like that, then having to travel on the road. You see Kentucky's an 8-point projected win by 8 in this one. I would probably tend to agree. Granted, Kentucky plays a lot of close games, so maybe not that much. Maybe like a Kentucky win by like 4 or 5, but give me the Wildcats to get this one. Staying in the SEC here on Wednesday at 9 Eastern on SEC Network. So the next game after that Kentucky-Texas game is the Mississippi State Bulldogs, 10-8 on the year, heading to the 14-4 Texas A&M Aggies. So Texas A&M, like I just mentioned, beating Texas. Mississippi State on the other end, they lose to their rival Ole Miss at home in a close one. Josh Hubbard, the leader for the Bulldogs, averaging 22 points per game. He's one of the highest scorers here in the country. And then Jaden Epps also with 15 points. So those 2 guards are the go-to guys on the Bulldogs squad. For the Aggies, it's Ruben Dominguez averaging 13 points per game and Reggie Agee with 13.3 points per game, as well as 8.7 rebounds are the 2 go-to guys. Plus then you still have Pop Isaacs scoring double figures as well as Hill and Griffin as well. So all 5 guys in double digits. Efficiency-wise, Texas A&M 37th best offensive efficiency in the country, and then 44th defensive efficiency. They shoot the ball at a better percentage, 47% from the field at Mississippi State's 45. Same thing, better percentage from 3, and just kind of all the way down the line here, including being the 3rd best second chance points scorer. That's fast break points, not second chance points. So Texas A&M, I do just kind of want to feature them because, like I said, they've been kind of sneaky. Haven't really talked about them. They played Tennessee tough as well. So you see they're 8-2 in their last 10, tied for first here in the SEC. Only loss here, a loss in overtime to Tennessee. So they've been playing really well. Like I said, Josh Hubbard, really fun player to watch for Mississippi State. One of my favorite guys to watch in all of college hoops. But Texas A&M projected to win by 12 in this one. I think they get that done probably by double digits. Then moving on here on Wednesday, back to the Big 12. The 10-8 Cincinnati Bearcats head to the number 1, 18-0 Arizona Wildcats. This one's at 9 Eastern time on Fox Sports 1. So Arizona still undefeated. Tough, tight game here against Arizona State. And then they head cross-country to UCF. Get a nice 7-point win there as well. Cincinnati hadn't been playing great basketball. Their fans were saying they should do a paper bag out. But then they get the win in that game against Colorado. And then they upset number 9 Iowa State at home. Great, Iowa State was ranked higher than that heading into that game. They now dropped to 9 after losing twice last week. So on the Arizona side, they're led by Braden Burries, Jaden Bradley, and Koa Pete, all averaging 14 points per game. Plus you then throw in Mo Krivas with 11 and 8 rebounds, as well as Anthony Del Orso averaging 9 points per game, and then Korchenikov also with 9 points per game. So just a lot of go-to guys here on the Wildcats. For Cincinnati, Baba Miller, their leader, with 13 points per game, and then Jizzle James back on the squad with 11 points as well. And then Miller also has 10 rebounds. Thomas and Thiem also in double digits for the Bearcats squad. So efficiency-wise, Arizona 8th best offensive efficiency, and then 7th best defensive efficiency. They're going to be really dominant in this one. They're the 6th best shooting percentage from the field here in the country. Cincinnati, the better 3-point shooting team. They're probably going to need a big game. Arizona is the better 3-point shooting team. 35% to Cincinnati's 31%. Just all around, all these splits here. It's favoring Arizona. I did just kind of want to shout out Cincinnati after that big upset win at home, but now having to go on the road. It's going to be a tough one, but Arizona, always a fun team to watch. Projected to win this one pretty handily by double digits. I think they will, so give me the Wildcats to take it. Then the mid-major game to watch here on Wednesday, the 13-4 San Diego State Aztecs head to the 11-6 Grand Canyon Antelopes. This one's at 11 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, so the third game of that triple header. Both these teams coming off really big wins over the weekend. San Diego State taking down New Mexico at home in a close one, and then Grand Canyon upsetting Utah State at home, the number one team in the Mountain West, so that was a really big win for the Antelopes. Reese Dixon Waters, the leader for San Diego State with 11 points per game, as well as Miles Bird averaging 10, and B.J. Davis with 11 as well. On the Grand Canyon side, Jaden Henley, their leader, with 16.9 points per game, with his 4.7 rebounds. Awusu Ande, the leading rebounder, with 9 rebounds, with 9.4 points, and then Williams also in double digits with 12.8 points per game for Grand Canyon. So looking here, efficiency-wise, San Diego State the more efficient offense, but and more efficient defense. Shooting from the field, San Diego State shoots it at a better clip than Grand Canyon, as well as being the 17th best three-point shooting team, 38.9% to Grand Canyon's 32%. And just defensively, really dominant team here for San Diego State comparatively to Grand Canyon's, not as great offense. So I think that's going to be interesting. The thing, though, is you do see here, it is projected to be a close one. Grand Canyon coming off that upset win of Utah State. Now, they're letting the second best team in the Mountain West into their home, but San Diego State projected to win it. I do just think they're the better team than Grand Canyon. Utah State was also a better team, but just didn't happen on that day. But I don't know, pulling 2 upsets in a row would be kind of crazy, so for that reason, give me San Diego State. Then moving on to Thursday, the one power conference game at 7 Eastern FS1, the 13-5 Wisconsin Badgers head to the 9-9 Penn State Nittany Lions. Wisconsin, as you see here, winning all 4 of their last 4 games, including that upset win at Michigan and then a buzzer beater win at Minnesota. They're led by John Blackwell going for 18 points per game and Nick Boyd with 19 points per game. So those two really dominant guard duo, plus then you throw in Winter averaging 14 points with 8 rebounds. So Wisconsin playing some really good ball. On the Penn State side, they're led by Caden Mingo, averaging 15 points per game, as well as Frank DeLeon with 13 points per game. Penn State played Michigan tough, honestly could have won that game at home. So now they're, letting another team that beat Michigan into their building. We'll see if they can maybe play them close. Efficiency-wise, Wisconsin more efficient team here. They're shooting the ball slightly better percentage here than Penn State, as well as them being the better three-point shooting team, and just kind of all across the board here. They got the better splits. Just wanted to feature this one since it is the one power conference game on Thursday, and you never know. So Penn State almost beat Michigan at home, but Nittany Lions just not a very good basketball club. Wisconsin projected to win by 8 here. I think they can win by 8, maybe even double digits. And then the mid-major game here on Thursday, the UC San Diego Tritons, 14-5 on the year, head to the 11-7 UC Davis Aggies at 9 Eastern time on ESPN+. So these are two teams, rivals here with both UC schools. Towards the top here of the Big West, 3rd and 4th respectively. I think this should be a good contest. You're seeing projected here to be, a 1-point game. Beath, the leader for the Tritons, averaging 15 points per game. And then BD also with 10, so, good guard and forward to go there for the Tritons. On the UC Davis side, Sevilla and Cooper, they're 2 returning starters from last year, both averaging double digits here, 14 and 13 points respectively. Efficiency-wise, UC San Diego, the more efficient team, as well as then they're shooting the ball at a better percentage, better three-point shooting, UC Davis is the better three-point shooting team. I think this should be a fun one. I think, like I said, these are two teams towards the top of the Big West here. But just with this one being at UC Davis, and like I said, I like those 2 guards in Cooper and Sevilla for them. Give me the Aggies to get the win against the Tritons. So then just kind of looking here at the rest of the games for this week. So looking here on Tuesday, Indiana heads to Michigan at 7 Eastern on Peacock. UCF heading to Iowa State. LSU at Florida. Those ones all at 7 Eastern on Tuesday. Another 7 Eastern on ESPN+. 25th ranked Miami, Ohio heads to Kent State, and 24th ranked St. Louis Billikens heads to Duquesne. So 2 ranked teams there. DePaul at Butler could be a potentially fun Big East test. Then the nightcap, you got Michigan State heading to Oregon, completing that West Coast trip of theirs. Auburn at Ole Miss, and then Kansas at Colorado late night. Then on Wednesday, you have Maryland at Illinois, Notre Dame at North Carolina. North Carolina suffered 2 losses last week, so really need to get right here. You got Murray State at Drake, Indiana State at Bradley, so some fun Missouri Valley contest there. Tulane at Florida Atlantic could be a good one in the American. Georgetown, Villanova, and Xavier at Creighton, 2 Big East games that could be solid. Liberty heading to Western Kentucky should be a good CUSA game, as well as Memphis at Tulsa, another good American game. Nightcap, you got Washington at Nebraska, Pepperdine at Gonzaga, Northern Iowa to Illinois State on ESPNU. That's probably the best Missouri Valley game here on Wednesday. Plus, then you throw in West Virginia at Arizona, and then Nightcap, you got Northwestern at USC, and Oregon State at St. Mary's to go with the San Diego State Grand Canyon game. And then wrapping up Thursday, like I said, a lot more mid-major heavy on Thursday. We got South Florida UAB on ESPN2. That should be a good American one. Arkansas State at Georgia Southern, 2 of the better teams here in the Sun Belt. Little Rock at Southeast Missouri State could be a good one. Tennessee State at SIU Edwardsville is a OVC contest that could be fun. So that's going to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, make sure to comment your winners for these games. I'm going to shout a couple people to drop their comments here on YouTube, Spotify, or, when I post the graphics about these games on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram kind of thing. So make sure to drop your comments on some of the games. Those of you who get some picks right, I'm going to shout you out. While you're down there, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.